If you're at all in tune with the handheld emulation scene, you've probably heard some buzz recently about this little device, the AYN Thor. Now I'm sure those of you who are in your 20s probably all collectively went, "Hey, that looks like a 3DS. Also, the crippling realization that I'm likely never going to own a home while I continue to age towards my 30s is ruining my mental well-being and desire to function within this charade we call society." Well, yes, dear viewer, you would be correct. This does indeed look like a 3DS, and if you were around for the 3DS, you'd know that console was pretty damn special to a lot of people, including me, and that nothing has really had the same vibe or steez since. So I ask, does the AYN Thor fill the 3DS-shaped hole left in my heart in 2026? The 3DS and its older, crunchier brother likely needs zero introduction. The DS family of systems alone is one of the best-selling consoles of all time. Beyonce probably had one on that island her husband likes to go to. Recently, 3DS prices have gone absolutely insane. As someone who owns multiple from my time as a diehard Nintendo fanboy, I'm kind of baffled. People are paying well over $500 sometimes to get these things in good condition with a box, just to mod their favorite games onto them. I get it if you pay up the big bucks because you want to amass a collection or something, but paying up these prices just to load one of these things with emulators has to have shortcomings, right? Well, while the 3DS is certainly very versatile, there is far better emulation experiences to be had elsewhere at this price. I mean, seriously, at these prices, if you're buying for emulation, you might as well get literally anything else in this price range. But hey, maybe you also want to play 3DS and DS games. Do I really expect you to play the games that were made to be played with two screens like this? No, for some games, it's just straight up impractical no matter how you set up the screen layout. Well, this company AYN heard your strangely specific gaming woes and bestowed upon us the AYN Thor. I want to address that I'm not a tech review channel. Sure, my last review was on my opinions of the Switch 2, but if you want someone to get into all the nitty-gritty tech specs, I'm not really your guy. I understand them and think they're cool, but that's not really the point of my content. I'm not emulating Switch content with this. I'm not trying to stream PC games or anything like that. I'm just some dude with too many retro games who wants to see if he can back them up and take them with him on the go. In this day and age of absurdly priced 3DSs, is the AYN Thor the portable savior we all need? First things first, I think the AYN Thor looks fine shape-wise. It's just a clamshell slab with a tiny bit of ergonomic design around the rear triggers. Where I think the AYN Thor succeeds most is with its color. I'm obsessed with this cream rainbow button colorway AYN just calls rainbow. Wouldn't you know it, this was also one of my favorite parts of the new 3DS compared to the XL variant. The screens are also both really nice OLED screens, with the top one even being capable of 120Hz refresh rate. The sticks feel nice and clicky, and playing on this thing doesn't make me want to amputate both my hands, which is nice. Lord knows gluing all those thumbtacks to my N64 controller was an awful idea. Loading this thing up with emulators and ROMs is also very easy. If you're going through the hassle to mod your 3DS as someone who has a modded 3DS, this is essentially exactly the same thing, if not easier. It does things up to the GameCube and PS2 with ease as far as I've tested, but let's be honest, so do a lot of devices. So I'll cut to the reason the device probably caught most people's eye. How does it handle DS and 3DS emulation? Firstly, so I don't have to deal with Nintendo carpet bombing me and my neighbors because I dared flash 4 seconds of a Mario game they think I don't own. Nintendo, all of these titles shown were ripped from my own copies. Now that I've warded off the evil spirits, I'll start with DS emulation. This console is genuinely made to chew DS games up and spit them out. Games like Cooking Mama 2, Dinner with These Muppet Bastards She Calls Friends run with flying colors using the handheld's responsive touch screen. Although, I'd recommend you invest in some sort of a stylus instead of using your own fingers like I'm doing. Games like Mario Party DS, Mario and Sonic at the Olympics, and Pokemon Ranger work great here. Plus, you get speed up, meaning those lengthy RPGs the console is filled with can be much easier to get through without spending a ton of time grinding. Okay, so DS is great, especially with these beautiful screens. How about 3DS? Well, the 3DS is an interesting case here. A lot of 3DS games, especially first-party games, typically have these really colorful models that often look very good even in their native resolution. Bumping up the resolution 4x here makes them look phenomenal in a way they never have before. As someone who enjoys retro games, I keep a CRT around because even with all of the modern effects possible today, these old games just look at home and right on an old CRT, even now as I'm holding this emulator capable of super crisp upscaling in my hands. However, the 3DS almost never makes me feel this way, as 3DS games I've upscaled have always maintained their original vibes, albeit just sharper. The AYN Thor is no exception. A Link Between Worlds, my favorite 2D Zelda, pops on this beautiful screen and makes me want to play my library of 3DS games all over again. But it doesn't just stop there. This thing is Android based. That means you can download Chrome on here or YouTube, look up a guide right on the device you're holding without any need to bounce between a second device and your handheld. The convenience and practicality is just superb. I mean, seriously, what other device on this planet would let me play Sonic Adventure 2 while reading fanfiction at the same time? And listen, I'm sure there's other dual screen options out there, like I know of a device called the AYN Pocket DS or whatever, but I'm pretty sure that's like $100 USD more expensive at the baseline and doesn't look like someone invented the 3DS in 2026 as opposed to 2012. At the end of the day, I think that is the charm of this device. It truly does feel this device is the standard new 3DS brought into modern day with all the modern conveniences and versatility one would want. So to answer my earlier question, this actually somehow did end up filling that 3DS shaped hole in my heart and more. Which then begs the follow-up question, why the fuck would anyone buy a new 3DS? The standard person is not buying a 3DS to start a collection and likely plans on modding it if the insane explosion of 3DS modding discourse is anything to go off of. And that's where I land on this. In today's market, the new 3DS in particular has just become insanely expensive on the secondhand market, and with new people picking up games every day, it might be easy to just go with the first Nintendo handheld you see people talking about. When a modern handheld like the AYN Thor can replicate the dual screen experience, do more with it, and often cost less than used new 3DS systems are going for right now, it becomes really hard to argue for the original unless you're buying it for nostalgia or collecting reasons. The 3DS isn't the worst option of the two because it's bad. It's the worst option of the two simply because it's become too expensive to buy if you don't specifically care to own one. Thanks so much for stopping by for this video. I'd promise more content, but anytime I do that, I disappear for months to a year, so if you like this video, I'd recommend checking out some of my other videos. Anyways, join me next time where I see how many cardboard cutouts of buff Sonic I can send to Mark Carney before he kindly asks me to stop.